Hey guys, Macqo here, and for the entirety of the past 4 days I've been consumed by the Battlefield 6 open beta. And holy crap, it was so much fun. So, you know what? Today I'm talking about all of it off script because I just can't wait to talk about this game. So just let's get on with it. But where do I come from? What's my deal? Well, I've played Battlefield 2 for many hours when I was a kid. First offline, then I played it later on online. I've played for the entire campaign of Battlefield Bad Company 2. I played a bit of it online. I've sunk a lot of hours into Battlefield Heroes back when it actually existed. And then I've played Battlefield 4 for about 150 to 200 hours back in its prime, and I loved it. I also tried Battlefield 2042 for a total of like 15 hours. I first bought it when it was on a major discount, refunded it after 2 hours. I then played a bunch of it during the open weekends. I really didn't like it, so I just never rebought it. And that's pretty much my experience, right? So I've played a bunch of Battlefield. I'm not the biggest fan. I didn't play Battlefield 5. I didn't play the recent World War I Battlefield. I didn't play Hardline. But the Battlefields that I played are mostly considered the good ones, technically, except for Battlefield Heroes, which was just like a nostalgia hit for me now when I thought about it. So with that background, I sort of kind of feel like I am kind of qualified to tell you what I feel about the game. And how does the game feel anyway? Well, let me tell you, it's amazing. It's so much fun. I haven't had that much fun with a modern shooter since I legit think that since Battlefield 4. No joke. I've tried a bunch of Call of Duty games, I play a bunch of Counter-Strike, but I have not had as much stupid fun as I had in the past 4 days playing Battlefield 6. My god. So, how is the gameplay anyway? Overall, very responsive, movement's good. I'll get into it later on. I'll get into most of the things later on in the video, but I'm just giving you the overall just so you know. Gameplay is really fun, fluid. I didn't really have that many lag spikes. There were a couple of lag spikes like during the very high traffic hours, and then truly the game did lag. But outside of it, no, it was genuinely fine, and I think that DICE has done a really good job with this title. So yeah, I'll just start off by talking about the game modes. These are the most basic standard game modes that you've seen in any Battlefield game. You've got Conquest, which is the standard, capture the flag, get enemy tickets down to 0 thing. You have Breakthrough, which is one side defending, one side attacking, and you gotta capture both sides before your tickets run out to progress. Then you get refilled with a bunch of tickets, and the other team is just defending and trying to recapture sites before both of the sites are captured. You also have Rush, which is kind of a spin on a Breakthrough, except you just need to plant a bomb on both sides, and once the bomb explodes, if the other team doesn't defuse it, the site's gone, so you just need to push through as much as possible. But this is like a smaller game mode. I think that's for 12 players per team. You also get Team Deathmatch, the squad-based deathmatch, with 4 squads of 4 players each, which I didn't think that I would enjoy a squad deathmatch again. Or, well, a team deathmatch. That was so fun. The maps are shrunk to like a single fragment of the main maps, and you just have 4 squads of players, 4 players each, so 16 players just going at it. And it's so fun. There is a little bit of bullshit going on there, but I'll touch on it a little bit later. But overall, giga fun. Oh yeah, you also have 2 categories of game modes. At least the big ones, the major ones. You can go for all-out warfare, which just puts you in a queue for any type of game mode from the big ones, but you can use other classes' weapons. And then you have class-locked all-out warfare, which essentially is still the same game mode, but classes are locked to specifically the weapon types that they were made to use. So for instance, you cannot have a recon with a shotgun, or I don't know, a assault with sniper rifle, or an engineer with a sniper rifle, right? Which I think that adds a little bit of variety, because if you are tired of just people running around with a bunch of shotguns or something, that's a good idea to just go with the closed class warfare. One thing that comes to my mind when I think about searching the games though is that there is no server browser, but I heard that the DICE studio is actually working on it because they've received a bunch of feedback on it. But yeah, I just don't think that the game should be, oh yeah, you just queue up and that's it. You should be able to just find a specific server for you. Right now you have a custom search option, but it's nowhere close to how useful having a server browser is. Okay, but I talked about the game modes. Let's talk about how the game feels, how the movement feels specifically, and let me tell you, it's actually good. I did not expect the fluidity of this movement. Obviously, it's not as fluid as some other games, but DICE did a bunch of good things that I think go a long way. First of all, sliding is not the meta. Obviously, you can run around and slide a little bit, you will get a short boost, but consecutive slides or slide jumps will not speed you up. They will actually slow you down because the slide duration will be lower because you start losing speed. So that's a cool thing that, you know, if you really need to like slide across like a doorway because enemies are nearby, go for it, but it's not the meta to just start running around slide jumping, so that's good. Also, you get to run while crouching, and that's a really fun addition. It looks hilarious, but actually works. The amount of times that I've been saved by being able to just run away while crouching is insane. Obviously, it's still slightly slower than if you were to run or sprint, I should say, while, you know, standing up. But still, it gives you that freedom of movement. Also, you can vault over different places on terrain. So, you know, there will be a lot of verticality introduced. Currently, these maps don't feel as vertical as they should. Obviously, Battlefield was always a game where verticality really played a huge role, like a bunch of buildings where you could climb up the buildings. In Battlefield 2, on the Dragon Valley map, there was a giant silo that you could just climb on top of and just start sniping people from there, for instance. Here, at least in the beta, you didn't get it. But I heard that there will be verticality added to these maps later. I think they mentioned something about ladders, but I just hope that there will be more verticality, like being able to actually run across rooftops as well. That will add a lot to these urban maps. Oh yeah, and also, if you are sprinting and then you want to go prone, you will actually dive forward, which is really cool. Oh yeah, and one more thing. If you jump from a area that's like a couple stories high, like let's say 1 story high, 2 story high, and you are not high enough to open your parachute, you will be able to just do this cool roll when you land. That's really cool, honestly. You don't get it if you fall down from like a low height, but if you are, like I said, like 1 story high, 2 stories high, I think is the limit, and then you jump down, you get to do this cool roll. It's really, really fun. But yeah, I think that's all about movement mechanically. Now, how does it feel? It's really fluid. Not, like I said, it's not as fluid as some other games, but honestly, movement here feels really good. Like, there is no really big delay between all types of movement. You can start crouching, then you go and sprint, then you can just slide across somewhere, get up, do a duck to prone position, all that stuff. Meantime, you can just jump over some ledge and then vault over another one, or like climb up some like ruined bus or something. It really lets you do a lot of things, and I think that's a good thing. So yeah, movement's good, really fun. But what about the weapons? Because if you remember, if you watched my Killing Floor 3 video, I complained a lot about the weapons. Maybe not as much about the weapons as about the climate of the game, but still weapons were one of my major pain points. So how does it feel here? Well, let's start off with the fact that these weapons are actual weapons. But what do I mean by that? Well, I mean, obviously, these are actual weapons that are used by militaries around the world, most of them using their designated military names, like L110 is just the FN Minimi, or for the American people, it's an equivalent of M249. It's technically the same weapon, just a different variant of the weapon. You get weapons like an M4A1, AK205, you get an M39. There's a lot of these weapons, obviously all of them designated by their military names because, well, you are not playing as a bunch of civilians who are using like their bot guns from the gun producer. You're using the military guns because you're playing as the military. So it makes sense that these weapons are all, you know, designated by their military names. But also these guns sound really well. I will get to it later on, but at the beginning I didn't really like the sound, but then I figured out what was the problem. I'll touch on it a little bit later. Oh hey, it's that part of the video. So if you enjoyed what you've seen so far, and if you like the video, just leave a like, leave a sub, comment. I read all the comments, and yeah. Thank you so much, and let's go back to the video. But what guns do you even have? Well, you have a bunch of assault rifles like an M433. You have a bunch of carbines like I said, M4A1 or an AK. You have a couple DMRs, although I haven't played with DMRs a lot. I tried the M39 a little bit, but I didn't really like it, so I just gave up on it. You have SMGs, which I played also just a tad with. And then you have a sniper rifle, which honestly, it's a sniper rifle, you know? If you can hit your headshot from far away, you're gonna be having fun with it. And then there's the shotgun. My beloved, that weapon is so fucking ridiculous that I fucking love it. And it's ridiculous because it is as close to a real-life accurate shotgun as you can get in a game. And unfortunately, it will be getting nerfed. DICE already said that they will be nerfing the shotgun. But holy shit, is it so fun. Like, let me tell you. Normally, you start with the bird shot and, you know, the normal stuff on your shotgun. After you play with it for a little bit, you will unlock the slug rounds, and then you will unlock a 5x scope. And what you do is you just put them slug rounds in, you put on a 5x scope, you just attach a red dot on the side of the weapon, and you just go to town. You can attach a stabby grip if you want to. If you can attach the laser on the side to increase your accuracy while you're just hip firing. But let me tell you, the most fun I've had with the shotgun, and in this game honestly, is hitting those shots from like 160 meters, 180 meters, or like even 85 meters with a fucking shotgun, just nailing some stupid ass sniper that thinks he's so smug using a sniper rifle with that weapon. I love it. It's stupid, but I love it. And this is actually how a goddamn shotgun should be. If you're using slug rounds, you should be able to hit those far shots. If you're using birdshot, it doesn't have that much spread, but it makes sense. The weapon itself shouldn't have as much ridiculous spread as like a sawed-off in Counter-Strike. But yeah, that is giga fun. I could honestly recommend it. Unfortunately, it's getting nerfed, but you know, the gunplay overall really fun. I've had a lot of fun with the shotgun. I've used M4A1 so much that I've maxed it out. Then I started using the AK205, honestly also a really fun weapon. Oh yeah, and some of the weapon gadgets like the RPG for an engineer or the grenade rifles for assault, also really fun. I also figured out that you can actually equip both of the grenade launchers at the same time, because as an assault class you get to use two separate primary weapons, except your second slot is kind of locked out. So for instance, the first slot you can use a carbine, and then in the second slot you can place a shotgun, or you can use your second gadget, because your main gadget would be on 4, and that would be, let's say, normal grenade launcher. And then instead of using an actual rifle as a secondary weapon, you can just select your grenade launcher with incendiary grenades and suddenly you just fucking bombard everyone. Also, like I mentioned, RPG, really fun. I think it kind of needs to be buffed, specifically the area after the explosion. Like, it doesn't feel like an actual rocket propelled grenade. It kind of feels like it's just a missile that just hits, and anything that isn't directly hit by it just doesn't really get affected. But overall, still giga fun. And also you can kill people with point blank RPG shots. I love it. So yeah, gunplay on its own, really good. But let's talk about attachments. And I think that overall, that they also did a really good job with these attachments. Obviously, Battlefield has had attachments for a while now. You were unlocking it while you were progressing with a weapon, which I think is a good idea. That the more you play the weapon, the more customizable you can make it. But I have like one problem with the attachment system. You see, you get 100 points that you can use up on the attachments on your weapon. Every attachment costs a certain amount of points. And I think that 100 might be a little bit too little. I think that the best way you could do it is just increase the limit to like 125, maybe even 115, honestly. And that would make it even better, because then you could put more attachments onto your weapons or like actually create your dream setup. Obviously, you shouldn't be able to like slap every single attachment possible, especially like the best attachments, the most upgraded versions onto your weapons, because then obviously you would start seeing a meta where a weapon is so overpowered and you always put the same attachments onto the weapon. But I think increasing the limit just a little bit would go a long way, like up to like 115 points, and I think that would hit the sweet spot, maybe even 110. That would still allow people to like use one more expensive attachment if they want to, or like add one additional thing, like I don't know, a red laser or a green laser onto their weapon. It's just something that's small, but I think it would go a long way. But the attachments themselves, really good. Most of the scopes cost the same amount, so there is no specific scope that you need to put on because it's more expensive and you need to use more for it. No, like every single scope costs the same. I think most of the assault rifles just come with like a red dot or something, and even the iron sights will cost you some points, so you just put a scope on your weapon. The ammo you use could use a little bit of rebalancing, because some of the ammo types kind of make it so that other ammo types are either bad, or some ammo types are just too expensive to use with your weapon if you want to like put more attachments to like, customize your weapon more. But yeah, overall, really good addition. Except there's like one thing, and I'll mention it because we've played with my friends for a little bit and he did some testing. If you put a suppressor on a weapon, 100% that happens with a shotgun, not 100% sure with other weapons, but a suppressor lowers the damage of your weapon. And I think that's weird. Overall, I'm a firm believer of making suppressors as broken as they are in real life, meaning they increase the projectile speed, they silence the weapon a little bit, obviously not a lot, not like in John Wick or something, but still. And yeah, they are overall an increase in accuracy and in damage and in the projectile speed for a weapon. So why shouldn't you use a suppressor, except for when you are in close quarters, where you literally need to have a shorter weapon because otherwise you would just be too bulky to move around. So yeah, make suppressors better. Don't nerf the damage on a suppressor. I think that would be like the one thing with the suppressor that I would just change. Just don't nerf the damage. Okay, enough yapping about the weapons. Movement, fine. Weapons, so far good. Attachments, really fun, really useful. Could use a small buff to the amount of attachments you can put, but let's talk about destructive terrain. Holy shit, DICE did this game well. Frostbite engine, I don't know which version of Frostbite engine it is at this point, but it's good. It's really good. You don't like a piece of terrain? Just fucking explode it. Use your C4 as a recon. Use your grenade launcher as a assault. Pull out your RPG. Why not? You want to destroy half of this building over there? Just shoot it with a grenade launcher once, twice, maybe the third time. It will collapse. There is this one pesty sniper that you just can't get rid of in that building over there. Why don't you just point an RPG at it and just shoot it? Do it. Sometimes you can break a wall. In some buildings you can just destroy the floor with a C4 or something. It's really fun. And when a building collapses, you can actually die in a building as well. It's not like, oh, the building collapsed, you just fell down the stairs. Oh no. You can actually die in there. Obviously, if you hide in a good spot, you will survive. But if you just keep on running through the building while it's getting destroyed, you will die. And honestly, that's so cool because it just increases the amount of paths that you can take on the maps. Because the maps start off fine, right? Like obviously there is a bunch of damaged stuff, destroyed buildings, all that stuff. But most of the buildings are in a good shape. And then as you start just throwing explosives left and right, you know, if you have 64 players on a map and half of the classes have explosives, actually more than half, because the only class that doesn't have explosives is support, aka medic. So if 3 out of 4 classes have explosives, and there's tanks, and there's helicopters, and there's F-16s or whatever the planes are, there will be a lot of destruction. And it's so cool when you see it. You know, sometimes you just start running across like a street and then 2 of the buildings on your sides just start fucking exploding and it looks so cool. And then on top of that, it adds so much tactical depth to it. Kind of because of the lighting as well, but you know, if you destroy a building, suddenly you can actually see into the building because there isn't as much of like a cover in the building. So because of how the lighting works, sometimes it's harder to see into the building because obviously it's darker in a building. But if you enter it, then lighting gets normal, you know, the normal stuff that games use nowadays. But if you destroy the wall, you can just see it inside the building. Like, why not? You will see it. So it gives you more paths. It opens up the buildings. You can get rid of certain sniper spots. You can see into the buildings better. Overall, destruction on these maps is really good. Oh yeah, also, it just looks so cool. Like stuff just starts flying left and right. The buildings actually look like they are being collapsed. Obviously, it does not seem like it's as cinematic as, let's say, that one clip from Battlefield 3 where the crane was falling and like destroying half of a building on one side and the other half on the building on the other side. But still, it's workable, it looks really nice, it's fluid, and you kind of can figure out which walls, which buildings you can destroy and which ones you cannot. So props for the developers for that. I really like it. It's really fun. Also, by the way, if you are playing Team Deathmatch on that map in the Liberation Peak, I think, make sure to destroy every single rooftop you see. Because otherwise you will see a bunch of players just camping on them. So here's my advice for you, just take out a grenade launcher or an RPG and just fucking shoot it. You'll thank me later. Okay, classes. Finally, some studio did classes good. What do I mean by that? We don't have fucking operators. Woo! So, you have 4 classes. You have Assault, you have Engineer, you have Support, and you have Recon. Obviously, every single class kind of, you can tell what they do. Assault is the main guy that just rushes in, uses like assault rifles, carbines, I don't know, a shotgun, some grenade launchers, can stim himself to run faster and reload faster, has a little bit more survivability, and yeah, that's pretty much all that Assault does. He's just a big assault guy. You just run in and you start shooting. Cool. Then you have an Engineer, which, I mean, everybody knows what an Engineer does. If there is a vehicle on a map, you can either put a mine to destroy it, or you can use your welder to weld up the vehicle and repair it. You also carry an RPG as your gadget, so you can really get into the killing vehicle parts. You can also just swap out the RPG for an anti-aircraft version, but I found that just being good with using RPG, you can shoot down pretty much any plane or a helicopter if you want to. No problem. But you have an option to use the anti-air variants as well. So overall, Engineer, cool class, really necessary if you are playing Conquest where you have those vehicles. Not really that useful if you are playing on maps where there aren't any vehicles. Then you have support, which that's kind of like my only kind of gripe with this game. That they should kind of, I feel at least, like they should split support into a support and into a medic. Because currently it's just all slapped into one. They use a light machine gun and the defibrillator, and they can just drop ammo for people, which is cool, but I feel like you shouldn't be the ammo guy and the medic guy at the same time. I feel like these two roles should be kind of split, so I would love to see them in the future, because I think this build is going into the main game, so they won't be doing it before the release. But I would love to see them split it into a actual support class and a medic. Outside of that, honestly, a busted class. You can one-shot people with a defib, you can rest people with it instantly, and yeah, it's really broken because you can also sprint with a defib now. Beforehand, like in Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 2, you couldn't really run around with a defib. You had to, pull it out, charge it up, and you couldn't sprint when you had it out, or when you charged it up at least. Here you can just sprint, charge it up, and just kill somebody, and you don't lose the charge until you let go of your left mouse button. Stupid, broken, but at the same time not that broken, so, I'll allow it, but it should be, I think, fixed. And last but not least, you have Recon. See, Recon is a weird class because their ability specifically mentions sniper rifles, meaning that if you use any other weapon, you cannot really do the steady breathing thing. That's reserved only for sniper rifles. But it's a really good class. You can put those little motion sensors on the ground, which will ping on your map and on your allies map if somebody is moving, which is really good. You can also place a spawn point for your squad, which is, again, a really good thing, because the amount of times you can just like outplay the enemy by placing a spawn point in some place that's kind of hard to reach, but easy to like get out of and get onto like a good place, like a good point. It's insane. So yeah, Recon, a really cool class, although again, my kind of gripe is that like you should be able to just use the steady breathing thing when you hold down shift while ADSing when you're using other weapons, at least like when you're scoping in with the big scopes, like the 5x's and stuff. But yeah, these are the classes. They all have like certain perk type abilities, so you kind of level the classes up as you play. If you play worse, you will lose levels, I believe, and if you just start doing what you're supposed to be doing or killing enemies, you start leveling the perks up, going up to like an activated ability that you can use at the end. Every ability, I think, is kind of fine. I never found out what was the medic ability. I never bothered to check because I didn't play as much of support. But you can do like some hyper repair shit as an engineer to like really quickly repair your tank. Assault class has a super stim pack, which is just a better version of stim pack, also reduces the damage you take, I believe. Recon has a really good ability, which is the UAV. You just start UAVing around, you see people on the map. It's really good and it's really useful for your team. So yeah, a really good perk ability overall. Obviously, there's only 4 classes, but I feel like DICE could kind of come back to the way that these classes worked in Battlefield 2, but I'm not really gonna pressure anyone to do it. I think that it's fine as it is. I just kind of miss the variety that every spec had back then. But yeah, like I genuinely think that right now it's good. No operators, just pure classes, then you can like customize your class later visually. Yeah, I like it. It's fine. Oh yeah, and I didn't actually talk about the maps. Right now there are 4 maps total. There's the Siege of Cairo, there's Iberian Castle or something, Iberian Road, I don't remember exactly, Liberation Peak, and then you have stuff in New York, Brooklyn. Empire State, I think it's called. Every single map is really good, although there's only one map that's a really open, which is the Liberation Peak, and that's, I think, the only map where you can actually use flying vehicles. The game should add more maps that are very open. But every urban map so far, I've had fun on. I didn't like Siege of Cairo at the beginning, but the more I played it, the more fun I had. So, yeah, I'm probably not gonna complain about it as much. But what I would love to see, and that's something that I really, really would love to see, is the devs adding like the most popular maps from previous Battlefield titles, like Strike at Karkand, Dragon Valley, Gulf of Oman, Desert Storm, a couple of maps from like Battlefield 4 that were really popular. Like I think that would be a great addition. Hopefully not as a DLC, but you know how EA works. But yeah, like adding these maps, I would love to see Strike at Karkand with Battlefield 6 and with all the destruction you can do. Also, just adding more maps in general would be good. I think that there's more maps in the works, but 4 maps on launch doesn't seem that good, so I just pray that there are more maps. Luckily, every single map is big enough to the point where you can use the same map in different ways using different game modes. Obviously, if you're playing Conquest, you just have the entire map. But if you play Rush, or you play Squad Deathmatch, or you play the Breakthrough game, then these maps are kind of more dynamic. You just play in smaller parts of these maps, also with smaller amounts of people. But I think that's a good idea. That's a good way to add variety to the map, especially with the deathmatch. If you could use more spots in like the other maps, like Cairo and in the Iberian Road or whatever, it would be really cool for squad deathmatches. Liberation Peak has only, I think, one version where you can play squad deathmatch. And overall, yeah, I like that you can just break these maps down, but I feel like there should be just more maps. And again, just add some of the very popular maps from like previous Battlefield games, please. And yeah, I also should talk about audio. I mentioned that I will talk about audio actually. So at the beginning, I didn't really feel it, and there is a reason for it. See, when you start up the game uses a default audio mixing, which kind of like muffles the sound a little bit, makes it a little bit more quieter, more digestible. But I didn't feel like that's how it should be. I mean, you're on a battlefield, like there's people shooting left and right, bombs dropping, grenades being thrown, people screaming, all that stuff. And I didn't really know how to fix it. And then I saw somewhere that there are different audio mixings in the game. You can also like use night mode for yourself, where the audio mixing is kind of more quiet, so you don't wake people up as much if you're playing during night. But I don't care about that one. What I care about is the War Tapes version of audio mixing, specifically War Tapes VAL, which stands for Very Aggressive Listening. You boot that shit up, and everything just gets so fucking loud. And it's so cool, because you actually feel like you're on a battlefield. Tinnitus left and right. Fucking flashbang actually sounds like a flashbang. Everything sounds loud and like it should. You can hear people screaming from like another side of the street. It's so cool. I love it. And honestly, if you want to have that like kind of battlefield-like experience, I would recommend putting War Tapes up, specifically the VAL version. But if you just want to have a nice game, then yeah, just stay with default mixing. So yeah, audio, really good. Weapon sounds also really good, although some of them could use a little bit more of a kickback. But overall, these sounds actually sound like they are weapons that are being shot. So, you know, props to the devs for actually fixing weapon sounds. Again, looking at you killing floor 3. One thing that I'm not entirely sure on when it comes to audio though is footsteps. So sometimes you will hear people running around, right? Like footsteps and all that stuff. But it's really hard to locate where they're coming from. Like sometimes you can tell the general vicinity or general area where they're coming from, but I couldn't help but think that something's off about the location of audio when it comes to footsteps specifically. So I think that's one thing that they should work on. I was using headset all the way, so technically I should be hearing where someone's walking up behind me and all that stuff, right? But I just don't think that it actually happened. So yeah, that's one thing to work on, but the rest of audio, mwah, chef's kiss, love it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. There's like a couple things that I would change or add. I mean, most of them I did mention while I was talking, right? So adding more attachment points so you can put a little bit more attachments onto your weapons. Adding more weapons would be great because right now there aren't that many, but I think they are already going to do it anyway. More maps, also maps from old Battlefield games, would love to see them. Rebalancing of some weapons, maybe. Splitting of medic and support classes, maybe like adding a couple more classes just to kind of like make more specialized classes, but at the same time I don't really mind them as they are right now. So yeah, that's pretty much all that I would change for now. I don't know, maybe I wanted to say that make tanks less tanky, but then I figured out that the only reason why some tanks were surviving so long, even though you're blasting them with RPG shots, was that there were like 2 or 3 medics hidden, sorry, not medics, engineers hidden behind a tank, just constantly welding it. And that's why they were so survivable. So yeah, I wouldn't change that. It's fine. You just get rid of the engineers. I don't know, throw a grenade behind them, kill them, and then the tank just falls over, right? More open maps. I would love to see more open maps where you can fly around, because right now, like I said, only Liberation Peak, and I would love to see more of them. But yeah, that's pretty much all that I would add. So, my closing thoughts for now is that I'm very positive on Battlefield 6, as you can tell. I do have a worry though. I mean, it's EA we're talking about, right? Like, DICE is making the game, but the producer is EA. So I'm very much worried that EA will not learn from what they fucked up in Battlefront 2 and in Battlefield 2042 and in other online games that they've been on. They will just fuck something up with Battlefield 6, and I'm really worried about it. Also kind of worried about the servers. So far the servers were really stable, but you know, it might change. Obviously, I'm happy that they lowered the amount of people that can play now to maximum of 64 players per server. You don't really need more. It already feels full as it is. And having like 128 players, it kind of just... that felt like a lot of people, and it was really laggy in 2042. So yeah, so far my biggest worry is just EA meddling with the game. Also, one more thing that I think they didn't think through. That's a lot of thinking. I don't think that $70 is a price worth for this game. Now, what do I mean by it? Obviously, it's high quality, yes, but it was so popular because it was an open beta. Everybody could play it for free, so everybody who had a decent PC could just boot it up, play it, it was fun. The second you release this game as a goddamn $70 title, I don't think there will be many people buying it. Obviously, hopefully, it will be a success and it will be a really good game. But by lowering a price back to $60 or even like $50, you would make so many more sales that you would probably turn out profit rather than selling the game for 70 bucks. Especially if you're confident in that game, and DICE seems very confident in Battlefield 6. So yeah, that's one thing that I would change, just lower the price to kind of lower the barrier of entry, because right now, obviously everybody played this game because it was free. The second it goes out for 70 bucks, that's not gonna happen. The numbers will be like so much lower. And I'm kind of worried that because the numbers will be so much lower than an open beta, EA will just think that they should pull the plug on Battlefield 6, which so far it looks like a really good game. So yeah, those were my thoughts on Battlefield 6. Everything raw. The only thing that I'll edit is just like a bunch of spaces and ums out of the sound file. So yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you liked the video, please do consider leaving a like and a sub. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.